Is Gervonta, Tank Davis, and Shakur Stevenson finally the fight to be made? I feel like it's always been the fight to be made, but now with Lomachenko clearly stating, not stating himself, but his manager Iga saying that Loma's not in the mood to fight. What does that tell us? Does that tell us now's the time for Shakur Stevenson and Tank? I think it tells us that, but realistically, you guys know I keep it 100 with you guys. I'm always honest on this channel because that's just how we do it here. But I just don't think it's gonna happen, next for either guy. I wish, I hope I'm wrong, but if I had to guess, I don't think that it's Shakur's next fight, because Shakur, you guys gotta understand, Shakur still doesn't know where he's gonna be. At least, by the time I'm making this video, there's no news about Shakur Stevenson and what he decides as his next, signing to a promoter. But I just feel like it all depends on that. It starts on that, and then you gotta hope that they can do business with Gervonta and his team, Leonard Ellerbe, Al Heyman, all those guys. And that's where I see like the disconnect. That's where I see this may take a while. We might have another Spence Crawford situation, a Benavidez Canelo situation, where this is the fight to be made in the division, but it's taken a while to make it. Hopefully we get closer to the Spence Crawford situation where it happens eventually, but I hope it doesn't get to that extent, because I just think that now's the time for both guys. Like a lot of you guys watching here, I'm sure you guys are thinking, that's the fight to be made, and it definitely is. We all can agree on that. It's just the business aspect getting in the way of it. It's a different time in the sport of boxing now where everybody's exploring their options. Once you reach a level of superstardom, and I'm not saying Shakur Stevenson's the biggest star in boxing, but because I feel like Tank is, but that aside, Shakur Stevenson has the talent that nobody can doubt. No matter what people say, they could say he's overhyped, this and that. Being at the level where he's at right now, what he's showcased so far, he's elite. There's no doubt. For anybody hating on him, this and that, saying he's boring, and I'm not gonna sit here and lie and say that he's the most entertaining fighter in the sport right now, but he's probably one of the most talented, if not the most talented, when it comes to just the sport in general. If it wasn't about knockouts, just about the sport, I think Shakur is probably the best boxer out there right now. But boxing isn't just the sport itself. It involves a fight. It's something that can evolve into a fight. It can heat up and then turn into a fight, and that's what Tank has capitalized on in so many fights. Not to say that Tank can't box. Tank doesn't have a good jab. He doesn't have good feints. Those are all stuff that he's really good at. Better than really good, honestly. He's superb at all that. But when it comes to a boxing match straight up, Shakur Stevenson has the goods, and it's a very difficult fight to kind of gauge and pick a winner. Sometimes I have doubts about Tank winning. I've never switched sides. I always see Tank finding a way to get that stoppage, or even pull out a decision. I always say, like, Shakur Stevenson has one way to win, and that's in a decision, and Tank has two ways to win. He could win in a decision, or he could stop Shakur. That's what makes it interesting. That's what makes it exciting, and that's what ultimately makes it hard for me to completely pick Shakur Stevenson. It's not the fact that I think he has no chance. I just pick Tank because the power, not only the power is a big factor, obviously, but when you have a little like weighing scale and you're trying to be equal on both sides, fair to both sides, I always look at the talent. Both of these guys are so talented, but what stands out is that power, those feints. It's what really puts Tank over the edge and really makes him a very difficult fighter to beat. And Shakur Stevenson has a lot of the same talent. He has a lot of the same understanding of distance and when to attack, when not to. It's just the power is. I just can't emphasize it enough. You got to get the respect of your opponent, and if you can't do that, it's very difficult to keep a guy like Tank away and off of you and keep him at bay, because he's very intimidating to fight. And I'm not gonna say Shakur is going to be intimidated by Tank, but it's a culmination of a lot of things that he's going to have to deal with. He's going to have to deal with the crowd going against him, being across from a guy like Tank on the highest stage where the lights are the brightest, and it's something he's never done before. Tank can actually say he's been in these big fights against guys like Ryan Garcia, guys like Rolly Romero, where maybe they aren't as technically sound as a guy like Shakur Stevenson, but the stage, you can't doubt the fact that when Tank is put on a bright stage, on a big stage with bright lights, he comes to perform, and he's done it time and time again. That's what makes it difficult, and that's not what it's all about. You know, everything doesn't depend on being able to perform under the lights. Sometimes guys can perform under the lights, but the other guys straight up more talented than them, and that could very well be the case, but we got to see it. And as much as I want to see it, I don't know how realistic it is, you know, in the next fight for both guys. Maybe for Tank, you know, Tank hasn't fought in a year since the Ryan Garcia fights Frank Martin, and then, you know, who knows when we're going to see him next. It's hard to get a superstar like him in the ring. It's hard to get a superstar like Terrence Crawford in the ring. But Shakur, I think he has to stay active. I've been a little bit critical about, you know, him taking risks, this and that, but I also understand, you know, and I respect it. He's honest about, you know, what he needs to work on. He said he has to work on, you know, cutting off the ring. He had hurt his hands in the last fight, and, you know, just working on the power. He said that he's going to work on the power. I don't know how you do that. I don't even think lifting weights, you know, really helps with power. Sometimes I just feel like you got it or you don't, and I think the only way, you know, you can improve power is by being at a more comfortable weight. And Shakur Stevenson already said, you know, 35 is really easy for him to make with training and going through an actual training regimen and training camp. So this is where he belongs. He could probably even fight at 30 if he really wanted to, but it would be tough. But 35, he's feeling good. So I feel like, you know, while Tank is comfortably making 35 and while Shakur is comfortably making 35, this is the fight to make in boxing, of course. But let's see what happens with Shakur Stevenson, where he ends up signing, and you know, how the money goes. There's so much that has to go right. Like, people always forget how important it is that, you know, as much as we want to see these fights, as pumped as I get, you know, talking about Shakur Stevenson, how heated I get, how emotional I'll get, how biased I'll get, like, it doesn't matter, because we gotta wait and see where Shakur signs. We can't just say this is gonna happen, because like so much has to play out. We got to see these guys. I always say it's not even official until, you know, the fight posters get posted on Instagram. It's not even official then. I take it serious when it's weigh-in day. And honestly, if you want to get a little excited, you could wait till it's like a press conference day, maybe a little, you know, tour that they do to New York and then go to Cali, stuff like that. But for me, I really look forward to that fight week, you know, the media workout, the press conference, and more importantly, the weigh-in day, where it's like we can see how both of these fighters made weight, how they're looking, see their energy. That's the thing, you know. Never place a boxing bet. Oh, well, I don't endorse or condone the gambling, obviously, but, you know, a lot of people that watch these videos, you know, like to get in on the action when it comes to boxing. I always say, like, you can't bet on a fight until you see these fighters weigh in. You know, that's something, and that's one time where I did that, was with Spence and Crawford. If I had seen Spence and Crawford, you know, weigh in first, I probably wouldn't have picked Spence, but, you know, I actually probably would have kept it, because for a long time I really thought Spence was going to beat Crawford. I just thought that, you know, the work rate would eventually catch up to Crawford, and I thought Spence was going to be stronger, but, you know, Terrence did his thing for sure. But, you know, back to Shakur and Tank, it's just really a fight that boxing needs. But, like, there are very few fights that I say boxing needs, and I think, you know, as much as Benavidez and Canelo is an exciting fight and it has to be made, it deserves to be made at 68. It's like, I don't, as a fan, you know, I'm like, I still think Canelo wins that fight. And if Canelo loses, they're gonna say he wasn't in his prime. Like, there's excuses. I think with Shakur and Tank, there are no excuses right now. This is the time to really make it. I hope promoters understand that. I understand that, you know, some fighters, like when it came to Pacquiao and Floyd always goes back on that, because everybody always asks him, even up till now, what do you think would have happened if that fight had taken place earlier? And he always says, I wouldn't have made as much money. And that's true, but it's also, you take away from a great fight if that happens. Like, if for Floyd and Manny, that's fine, because that's how Floyd thought about it. But if it's the promoters getting in the way of the fight and saying, I can make more money later, you know, me personally as a promoter, I can make more money later if I wait for this fight to kind of marinate a little bit and then get to its peak. But when it's at its peak financially, it's not necessarily at its peak in the ring, you know. So that's the importance of having a balance between making a lot of money in a big fight and actually making it when the fighters are in their primes. You got to have it when it's not boring anymore, when people still care about it when it's hot. And I think now's the time for Shakur and Tank to get it on. So let me know in the comments what you guys think. Is the time now for Shakur Stevenson and Tank to lace them up and get in the ring with each other? Give us a big pay-per-view fight at 135. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. But as always, thank you guys for watching today's video. Like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, I will catch you guys on the next video. Peace. That's going to do it for another Naz Fight Media video, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. It's been your boy, Matt Nabong, with another video. Hope you guys enjoyed it all. Thank you guys for the constant support. Salute to y'all always. It's been your boy.